Okay, as you might remember, when we first got this house, it had an EPC energy rating of G. And that doesn't mean good. In fact, it's the opposite of good. The energy ratings are from A to G. A being the most energy efficient, G being the worst. So this house was the worst. And it was the worst because it's a big house, very tall ceilings, and because it was built originally to be heated by coal fires, very drafty on purpose, because you had to have a draft to get the fires to evacuate their smoke healthily. Well, healthfully relevant. But so it is a drafty old house. There's no insulation in it. It had no central heating, so you had to have electric fires rolling everywhere. And it had, in that front bay, no double glazing. So the first thing that we've done, and this is the biggest jobs that we've been doing lately, is up above me, we went into the loft space. Now, first we replaced the roof. When I say replaced, we had it restored in essence. What they did is they pulled all of the slate off of the roof. They then removed the lats, or what in North America are called purlins. And then they put over the trusses, they put brand new breathable waterproof membrane that covered the whole roof. Plus, they replaced all of and then they put all new flashings, and all the flashings all over the whole house were replaced around the chimneys in the valley, and where it connects to our neighbors as well. And then they put all new lats. They replaced every single one of the purlins, and then they put all of our original slates. Well, those that were still worth putting back up, they put back up. And there were about 80% of our slates, 70-80%, were perfectly fine, and they put those back up. And the other 20-something% they replaced with the same. So the roof is done. And I can tell you, having been up there while it was raining, it's dry as a bone up there. It's fantastic. There's nothing more reassuring than hearing a pouring rain in the middle of the night and knowing you got a brand new roof, which is great. That's the good news. The bad news is, over the years, when this roof was originally put in, they put lime mortar between the slates to keep the wind out. And all that eventually degraded, and where did it go? Down into the loft space. So, April and I have been pulling out bags of, since we last put up a video here on YouTube, we've been pulling out bags. We probably pulled out about 50 construction sacks full of debris. Bits of wood, lots of lime mortar, some broken slates, old bricks, just tons of stuff. And we pulled all this stuff out. And it took probably 5 carloads of that stuff to the tip. And then once we cleaned it all out, we hoovered off the laths, and we looked for any signs of dry rot, because there had been moisture up there, because the roof was leaking, because there were tiles missing and some tiles were squiffy, and anyways. But when we got up there, it was pretty dry, but the wood had high moisture ratings around in certain places and spots in the roof. So we kept an eye on that to see if there were any early signs of dry rot or anything, but nothing, thank goodness. And so once it was cleaned up, we then started rolling out insulation. We did one layer of 100 millimeter insulation, and then over the top, perpendicular to that, we ran 200 millimeter blankets of insulation. So this whole ceiling, across the whole house, has 100 millimeter, and then all of it, except for way at the back there, where the pipes come through the roof from the solar collector, Everything but that area has had the 200 millimeters. So there's 300 millimeters of insulation up there. Which has got to be about, I don't know, 10 inches thick, a foot, something like that when it's puffed up, of insulation up there, which is great. So that has improved our EPC rating probably significantly. The next step is, obviously, we've got to get these sealed units in here, and we've got to insulate this front bay. That's going to have a big impact. The third big thing is the ground floor. Once we have flushed and pressure tested our central heating system, we can do two things. One, we can close up all the floors upstairs, and we can start sanding these floors. Actually, we can put the floorboards down knowing that these pipes are safe and sound. Downstairs, we can't close up the floors. In fact, we're going to open them up even more because we're going to put insulation under that floor, and we're going to hold it up with battens. And that's going to be 170 millimeter insulation all under the floor. So that's the entire floor except for the slab, which is underneath the utility room where the boiler and the cylinder are. Everywhere else in the house, it's suspended, and there's going to be insulation under there. So we'll have insulation on the top, keeping the heat from escaping through the ceiling. We'll have insulation in the front bay plus double glazing. And then we'll have insulation under the floor on the ground to keep the drafts out, to isolate the drafts. There's a couple other areas down there where we have drafts that we're going to isolate with insulation. So that's the kind of, those are the things that we're going to do to try and get this energy rating improved and get our energy efficiency improved so that, we can afford to heat the place. Because, we're hearing stories of energy increases, to, up to 4,000 pounds a year. So that's, you're talking on average, maybe 380 pounds a month over a year. I mean, that's not insignificant. So if we've already got solar thermal, which is going to mean that we're cutting our gas usage for the domestic hot water in half probably over the year. Solar thermal doesn't do anything for central heating. So we are going to have this gas boiler supporting us because we just couldn't afford an air source heat pump. But what we found is our new cylinder is already plumbed for an air source heat pump if we want to use it for the domestic hot water. We're not. We're gonna have that blocked off. But if we wanted to, we could connect easily the plumbing system that we have down there. We could hook up an air source heat pump to it, and we could control between it and the gas. So we could run the air source heat pump most of the time, and then when it gets really cold and the air source heat pump would struggle, that's when we turn on the boiler. So at some point, we should be able to buy an air source heat pump and get it installed when we have the money to do so. And we can really cut our energy costs quite a bit. Because I think gas is what's really going to fly through the roof more than even electricity. Now, electricity is already much more expensive, but I think gas is going to catch up to it. Anyways, that's where we're at. The next big wave of work is going to be the toilet room and the bathroom, with the plumbers arriving on the 27th. And then we will be following behind them to decorate those walls. And then we're going to tile those rooms with nice hexagonal mosaic tiles on the floor. And once those tiles are down, then we can put the last of the radiators in. We can put a new sink in. We can put the bathtub in with a shower and toilet. So we could end up having a bathroom and a toilet at that point. So we're kind of focusing a lot of our energy on getting those 2 rooms kind of cracked first. I've been working on getting these radiators all plumbed in, because the plumbers who did the work on the boiler and the cylinder, they are on holiday until about the beginning of September, and I'm hoping to get them back to finish up the last bit that they need to do. And as far as the solar thermal, getting a plumber here to do solar thermal is just impossible. As soon as you say solar thermal, they're like, "Oh, we don't have any certification in that." Well, there really isn't a certification process for it, but they just won't do it. I think just either they're afraid of it because it's something they don't know, or they're afraid of it either because they think they might do something wrong, or because they think, you know what, I'm just going to stick to my knitting. I can put in new boilers all day long, or I can put in an air source heat pump and make a fortune. And whereas solar thermal, not a big job, not going to make much money, something I'm not familiar with. Why would I do that? So trying to find any kind of qualified or experienced plumbers up here that will do the work, proving to be impossible. So what I'm doing is I'm going to do it myself. Crazy, huh? Wait. Instead of doing it in copper and soldering with high tin content, high temperature solder, what I'm going to do is they make these kits that are pre-insulated, flexible steel pipes that are made specifically for solar thermal. And I'm going to run them all the way from the collector down through the bathroom where that boxed-in section and the lead pipes used to be, down that wall, down into the old breakfast room, which will be our kitchen, under that floor, and then into that little cupboard where the pumping station is. So that will connect the pumping station to the collector. Then I'm going to get 2 more pieces of this pre-insulated flexible tubing to run from the pumping station to the boiler. And then I'll get 1 short piece, like about maybe half a meter long, to run from the pumping station to the expansion vessel. And that will be it, plumbed in. Then I need to somehow, if I can't hire locally a filling and flushing pump, I will buy one, and then I will sell it on eBay afterwards. Because it's not something I want to own long term, because they're pricey. They're like 400 pounds. But it's something I do need to fill it and flush it. So what I'll probably do is buy one, flush, and then fill the solar thermal hydraulic system. In the process, it will be something really great to learn. And then decide then if I want to keep it for emergencies or whatever, or sell it. Yeah, and get at least some of my 400 back. So that's how the solar thermal is going to get done. But it's not as urgent as it is kind of urgent, because I've got scaffolding, you notice, still on the building, and with the roof done, it doesn't need to be there, but it does need to be done because I can't put the tubes on the collector until the hydraulic system that feeds it is full. Otherwise, it can damage itself. So I pay 50 pounds a week to have this stuff sitting here doing nothing, this scaffolding. So I kind of do want to get that system finished as soon as possible. But in the meantime, finish the radiator so that when the plumbers come back, if they won't do the plumbing, the connecting with the solar thermal, I will do that. But as soon as they finish it off, then having them here to help test the heating system. So it'll already been all connected up and ready to be tested. So that when they leave after 1 day or a half day, we will have central heating. The whole house, throughout the loop throughout the house, and all the radiators will have been tested and will work fine. So that's why I've been working on heating system, the heating system so far. And also I've been working on the domestic hot and cold water, making sure everything is connected up, ready to go. And we've pressure tested those pipes too, and they're fine. So yeah, there's always sort of parallel projects running, because you run into stuff and one project stops, it's held up for something, you got to do something else. Like we're held up on the solar thermal because we can't get anybody to plumb it together with copper. So, okay, stop that, do the central heating so that by the time the plumbers come back, that's done. Yeah, it's like that. It's like that. But we are getting close to the point. We're probably, I don't know, we wanted to move in August. That ain't going to happen. We want to move in September. Might happen. A lot has to get done between now and then. Before we do that, we want to have the bathrooms done, the toilet done, obviously, and the kitchen. We want to have some cooking apparatus. Now, I've already put new wiring in that room, so we're ready to go for that. But we really need to like sand, stain, varnish that floor before we put anything in it. So there's probably get the bathroom done, and then once we get to the point where the bathroom's getting done, we will sand as many of these floors as we can. We'll rent maybe the sanding systems for a week, and we'll just sand it. We at least have to sand kitchen and the hallway and the master bedroom or a bedroom. And then we can probably once the bathroom's done, then we can do the staining and the tinting and the finishing of those floors that are sanded. That's what we need to get done before we can move in. And then we can do the sanding of any others that didn't get finished afterwards. We can do that over time. And do the decorating, which means removing more Artex, painting, you name it. I mean, so yeah, we're getting there. This was meant to be a short one. I just keep blabbing on. Anyways, I hope this found you well and thinking about plans of your own project to do. I got to say, I'm really enjoying this project. I mean, it is scary to do all this, but it's nice because a lot of these projects are really pushing me to be a bit more courageous than I would normally be. But once I get stuck into doing things, I'm quite happy. I mean, there's stuff here that I look at and go, I wish I'd done a better job of that. But it is what it is. And I've learned a lot. And I always get better as I go along. But it does mean that the first couple ones I do are maybe, I look at them and wince a little bit. But I think that's natural. Anyways, be well. We'll see you the next time around.